Hello everyone, this is Jack. Well, in this video, I'm going to cover 15 vegetables that you must grow in August. Now, much of the planting is dependent on the zone. So depending on the zone that you're in, that determines at what time of the year you'll be planting the vegetables. However, in this video, I'm going to cover these 15 vegetables that you can plant in August for all zones. Isn't that wonderful? No, that is for Northern Hemisphere. If you're a friend watching this video from Southern Hemisphere, such as Australia, South America, or South Africa, watch the video on vegetables you must grow in February, because that's what you'll be doing in August. Now, for all of my friends watching from Northern Hemisphere, let's cover all of these vegetables. Now, some of you will be planting these vegetables in the beginning of August, some of you in the end of August. So let's get started. Number 1, broccoli. Now, broccoli likes cool weather and full sun. Broccoli loves temperature between 60 degrees Fahrenheit and 70 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 15 degrees Celsius to 21 degrees Celsius. So if you're in zone 8, 9, or 10, plant broccoli towards the end of August. For zones 4 to 7, plant in the beginning of August. You can directly seed the broccoli seeds in your garden in August. The plant spacing should be 12 inches apart and row spacing 24 inches apart. Just plant the seeds of broccoli about 1/4 inch deep. Broccoli is ready to harvest in 3 months after planting. Number 2, potatoes. Now, some of you might think August is too hot to plant potatoes. Like if you're living in Texas, you're having triple digits, you might be thinking, should I really be planting my potatoes in August? The answer is yes. Now, many times I've waited till September, October to plant my potatoes, and we get our first frost sometimes in the first week of December, sometimes in the end of November, and I always get stopped out on potatoes. I'm only usually about 2 months or 2.5 months into growing potatoes, and the frost takes the plant. So you have to start a little bit early. Potatoes require 3 months of growth, so you must plant potatoes at least 3 months before your first frost. So August makes a perfect month to start growing your potatoes. Even though if it's hot, even though if it's triple digits, and the plants will grow just fine. The only issue with potatoes is that if it's too hot, if it's above 80 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 21 degrees Celsius, the potato plants will grow, but they will not form tubers, which are the potatoes. However, if you start growing them in August, by the time it's September or October, when the plants are really big and they are starting to produce potatoes, it'll be cooler. Well, Lily came to say hello. Lily, you want to grow potatoes? However, there is an art to planting potatoes. If your potato is the size of an egg or smaller, plant the whole potato. Make sure you only have 1 to 2 eyes on potatoes. So you have lots of eyes, it will create a lot more plants, and the potatoes will be much smaller. You'll get a lot more potatoes, but very small potatoes. But if you keep only 1 or 2 eyes on your potatoes, you'll get fewer potatoes, but very large potatoes. I have a separate video on the experiment that I conducted on this, and you can check out the results as well. Now, if the potatoes that you're planting are bigger than the size of an egg, you can cut the potatoes in half or even quarters, depending on the size of the potato. If you do cut the potato, make sure the scar heals up very nicely. It takes about a week for the scars to heal up, and then you can plant potatoes directly in your garden. When you're planting your potatoes, make sure you plant them at least 4 to 6 inches deep, and they are at least 12 inches apart. Potatoes love rich organic matter, and they also like slightly acidic soil. They love pH of about 5.0 to 5.5. To lower the pH level of your soil, you can use elemental sulfur, and you can also use vinegar mixed with water to water your soil as well to lower the pH. Now, at the time of planting potatoes, I use very well balanced organic slow release fertilizer, and I also use iron phosphate because that gets rid of earwigs. Earwigs can eat the leaves of potato plants, so it actually helps a lot to add iron phosphate in your soil, and they'll get rid of earwigs and your plants will be safe. I have a separate video on everything you need to know on how to plant potatoes, so check that out if you're interested. You can harvest potatoes 3 months after planting, and potatoes are a lot of fun to grow. You can also grow potatoes in containers. Leave some room on the top. This way you can keep adding more soil as the plants grow. This is equal to hilling or mounding the potatoes. Number 3, onions. And onions are super easy to grow. You can grow onions as green onions, or you can grow them all the way up to maturity. If you have mild winters and if you are in zone 8 and above, you can plant your onions right after the summer, which is in August, September, or October. So August makes a really good month to start growing your onions. You can grow onions from seed. Just sow the seed 1/4 inch down. The plant spacing should be 4 inches apart, and row spacing anywhere from 4 to 6 inches apart. If you have strong winters with lots of frost and snow, you can still start growing onions in August and harvest them as green onions by September or October.
I also have a video on complete guide to grow onions, so check that out if you're interested.
Now I do want to ask you, do you actually plant according to your zone? Do you follow zone guidelines, or is it just an American thing that people only in the United States follow? What about people in Europe and Australia and other places? Do you actually follow the zoning? So let me know in the comment section. It'll be really interesting to read that.
Number 4, green beans. Now green beans take about 2 months to start producing after planting. So plant the seeds of green beans at least 3 months before your first frost. If you're in zone 8 and above, end of August is the perfect time to start planting your green bean seeds. For zone 7 and below, plant them in the beginning of August. Sow the seeds of green beans directly in your ground in August. The seed depth should be 1 inch deep, the plant spacing should be 3 inches apart, and row spacing 24 inches apart. If you plant pole beans, you need some sort of a trellis or supporting structure, or you can just plant bush beans like contender beans. You can start harvesting green beans just 2 months after planting and all the way up to your first frost.
Number 5, garlic. Now garlic is super easy to grow and it provides a really good value because garlic is very expensive. And garlic repels pests, so it makes a great crop to interplant into your fall garden.
You can just use grocery store garlic to grow your garlic. Just make sure you buy organic garlic because conventional garlic is sprayed with growth suppressants. It might not grow as well. To grow garlic, choose bigger garlic cloves. Plant garlic cloves thumb length deep and a hand's length apart. So basically, plant garlic cloves 2 inches deep and 6 inches apart. The row spacing should be 6 inches to 12 inches apart. I also have a complete guide to growing garlic as well, so check that out if you're interested. You can also grow garlic in containers too. Next, you can directly seed root vegetables in your garden in August. These root vegetables are number 6, radish, number 7, carrots, number 8, beets, and number 9, turnips. Directly seed the seeds of all of these root vegetables in your garden in August. The seed depth should be 1/4 of an inch deep, plant spacing should be 3 to 4 inches apart, and row spacing 12 inches apart. You can start harvesting radish just about 4 to 6 weeks after planting. So in order to get more radish, you can do succession planting all the way up to just a month before your first frost. Turnips take about 2 months to harvest, and both carrots and beets take about 3 months to harvest. Number 10, lettuce. Now, lettuce likes cool weather. If the temperature goes above 85 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 28 degrees Celsius, lettuce will start to bolt. So plant the seeds of lettuce directly in your ground in August for zone 8 and above. For zone 7 and below, you can start planting seeds of lettuce directly in your ground in the first week of August. The seed depth of lettuce should be 1/4 of an inch deep, plant spacing 12 inches apart, and row spacing also 12 inches apart. You can start harvesting lettuce leaves just about a month after planting, and you can also harvest the whole head of lettuce just about 2 to 3 months after planting, depending on the variety.
Number 11, spinach.
Now you can also directly seed spinach seeds in your garden in August. The easiest way to plant spinach seeds is to scatter the seeds in your garden bed and then cover with about 1/4 of an inch of soil.
Spinach is really fast growing, and you can add spinach to your soups, salads, and even saute spinach with potatoes as well.
You can start harvesting spinach just about 40 to 45 days after seeding. Number 12, kale. Now you can directly seed the seeds of kale in August in your ground for all zones. The seed depth for kale should be 1/4 of an inch deep, plant spacing should be 12 inches apart, and row spacing 18 inches apart. You can start harvesting the leaves of kale just about 2 months after planting. As soon as the plant gets about 4 sets of leaves, you can start harvesting the outer leaves. Kale is frost hardy, so if you're in lower zones and you get early frost in October or November, August is the perfect time to start growing kale.
Number 13, Swiss chard. And Swiss chard is one of my favorite leafy greens to grow.
You can directly seed the seeds of Swiss chard in your garden in August. Just like kale, the seed depth should be 1/4 of an inch deep, plant spacing should be 12 inches apart, and row spacing 18 inches apart. You can start harvesting Swiss chard leaves as soon as the plant gets about 4 sets of leaves. So you can keep harvesting older leaves, and that will encourage new leaves to grow. Swiss chard is a heavy producer, and you will not be disappointed if you start growing Swiss chard. Number 14, mustard. Now mustard is another leafy green that is super easy to grow and is perfect to start mustard in August. You can directly sow the seeds of mustard in your garden in August. Now for zone 8 and above, you can also plant mustard in September as well. You can start harvesting mustard leaves about 2 months after planting. Plant mustard seeds 1/2 an inch deep, plant spacing should be 3 inches apart, and row spacing 9 inches apart. You can deadhead the mustard flowers to encourage more leaves to grow. However, mustard flowers are also edible. Number 15, fenugreek. You can start fenugreek from seed. Just soak the seeds in water 2 hours before planting. Sow the seeds 1/2 an inch deep. Plant spacing should be anywhere from 1 to 3 inches apart, and row spacing 12 inches apart. You can start harvesting fenugreek leaves just 1.5 months after planting. The more you harvest, the more leaves will grow.
I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you can plant all of these vegetables in August and you can create a lush garden, and I'll see you in another video.